One. Ah, it's loud in my background. Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. I am doing the best I can with scheduling and things like that. I'm busy lady over here. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday, happy Venus Day. I did not set up anything to tell you I was coming on, but here I am. Feeling pretty good today. It's a good day. It's a good day to have a good day. Um, Welcome to Witchy Insights. Again, I'm Mika. Here at Leap Take, and I talk all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today is an in between conversation. Look, take one. um, Today is we're talking about my witch origin story. And as much as I could piece together, because to be honest with you, when you're living and you're doing, it's really hard to really pinpoint the exact moments or the exact, like, oh, I became a witch this year. But I think I did it. I had to think this out. I think I'm good. I think I can tell a constructive origin story that makes sense. I think I can. Well, we'll see. If I can't, you'll just think I'm crazy. I don't know what you can do. So, all right. Witchy insight story time. So, my witch origin story. I have notes because I will not get this. I'm going to sound crazy like in a minute, but here we go. So, I have over the years, let me get rid of this. I've shared bits and pieces before. But today I want to go a little deeper. I want to tell you how I went from just being curious, a curious woman who felt like little whispers of something more. So, and I went from that to like a full fledged witch walking confidently in her magic. So that's what this conversation is going to be about. All right. Um, it's a story time about discovery, identity, spirit, and honestly, if it's almost like coming home to myself, right? So get your tea. I got my water with my Barbie cup. Oh God, I gotta do my nails. My Barbie cup. And the cauldron is a brewing in the background. Oh my wait, is the light on? Yeah, the light's there. My cauldron's going here in the background, so get your cauldron going. And whatever you're brewing, go ahead and get it going. And I'm sure people will catch this on a replay because nobody's here yet, but that's okay. I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so hello. um I am curious before I get started. This is something I was just thinking about. Like, what do you remember your first spark of magic? Do you remember your first spark of magic? That moment when you knew there was something more. Do you remember that? And if you don't, maybe you want to start thinking about it. That first spark. You either you know or you don't know what I'm talking about. Like that first spark of magic. Where it was like, wait, there really is something more. There's more to this. There's more to life. There's more to everything. That moment when that realization really hit you. Okay, so let's talk about these whispers that I'm referencing. The whispers. Okay, so the whispers are basically before I even called myself a witch, there were these whispers. Um, I'd feel them when I was a kid for sure. That soft pull, it's like a pull toward whether it was the moon. And I'm gonna count as a kid. You remember when you're in a car, like you're in a kid, it's at night, you're out late or whatever, and it's like the moon is following you. Of course, you don't understand about that, but it feels like the moon is following you. But like this connection was present though. It was kind of cool. But anyway, this pull toward the moon. But it started with fun stuff like that. We all experience that, right? Or when I'd feel comfort with lit candles and uh, the way I grew up with incense and the smoke and all that sort of stuff, or like a gust of wind felt like it sometimes carried meaning to it. Um, yeah, the seasonal shifts as well, like very definitively, like that first snowfall. and then the switch like to fall and like the weather patterns, things like that. Even as a kid, it felt in summer storms. Oh my gosh, they felt magical. I didn't know witchcraft was something that people really did. And I don't think most of it, like, I didn't really, I thought it was just in books and stuff, like TV and movies. I didn't know people really did witchcraft, but I've always been intuitive, sensitive. I've been told I was very sensitive, too sensitive. But I could feel when the energy in a room shifted or when something wasn't being said but was still loud. I called it my higher self. I used to write a blog of the blog was called Leap Taken. That's where I first started the name. And I would talk about this. I wrote about this. I didn't talk, I wrote about it. The whispers and your intuition, your higher self. It was definitely woo woo, but I wasn't specifically calling myself a witch, but I was a practitioner of magic. And I called myself a witch, generally speaking, in the rest of the world. And I did witchy things when I was writing it, but I hadn't called it that on the blog. I never went that far into it. I mean, I wasn't like extremely popular or anything on this blog, but yeah, I had a couple of people come in and read and comment and things like that. Anyway, that was my transition to YouTube. It started with the blog, just so you know. um, yeah, funny how life is, right? But anyway, yeah, I would say I called it my higher self. That little voice in the back of my mind that guided me, sometimes in the front of my mind, that guided me to or away from things. Later, I came to understand it as it was spirit, my ancestors, and to some extent, my deeper knowing that we all carry, where you just know. It's a knowing. I don't know why I know this. I don't know how I know it. I don't know when I knew it. I just know it, type thing. So I didn't grow up surrounded by witchcraft. Um, like a lot of Black American women, my age specifically, the closest thing to magic was church, uh, prayer, prophecy, laying of the hands. I'm not doing it right. um, intuition that wasn't called intuition. So people would call it the Holy Spirit or a message from God or something like that. And yet, even in all that, magic was still present. Um, we just didn't have a word for it, but magic was definitely present. When, and I'm gonna get into this a little bit, it wasn't in my notes, but it's something that came to me just now, like this idea of, the prayer warriors, and specifically when women get together. And I think it's really interesting when it's women, I want to say over 40 specifically, like ranges, when they get together and, they are declaring and they're calling into existence whatever the prayer is for. That is powerful. There are some other, you know, ingredients in that recipe I don't feel is necessary, but that's not, from to each their own. Uh, but there is magic afoot. And that's all I'm gonna say. It is, they're not lying. It is magic. It is I mean, they wouldn't say it's magic, but they're not lying. It is something happening. They feel something, something is happening. People are not crazy. It's happening. They're feeling something, they're feeling the power. I would question that the power is the collective that is coming from you, but I don't want to fight people. Moving on. Next week, I'm going to be sitting in a church. Let me calm down. So, if you've ever felt different growing up, like more in tune, more curious, more sensitive to energies, let me know in the comments. Like, I don't know, you could just put like yes, if everybody like just type yes, or just different. I'm curious if you're watching this on the back end and you see it later, you comment still. But yeah, if you felt different, I always felt a little like a little weirdo kid. I mean, and of course now I see that as a wonderful thing. When you're a kid and you're a weirdo, it doesn't always feel good, but I always felt a little odd. So witchy adjacent living, even before I had the language for witchcraft, right? I was doing it. Um, I would always write in journals and diaries and things like that. And I would write about what was happening, but then I would do this fun little thing of writing stories. And a lot of it was about the life that I wanted, not realizing that was actually scripting. I think that's why that resonates with me so much, scripting, because I realized I've been doing this for a long time. I would make up stories. I would also do a fun little game of imagination where I would just make the story in my head. I have come across, because of TikTok, I realized that one, there are more like me than not that I've come across, or maybe because the way we're set up, our algorithms cross paths, so I see them. But um, if I am truly bored and I have nothing to read, let's say I don't have a phone and I just have my imagination, I will play a movie in my head. I'll just be sitting here like this and I'll see the whole thing play out in my head. I could literally just play a movie in my head that I've seen before. Like, that's how crazy it goes in my head. I could just sit there and be engrossed in my own mind in the story. Yeah. Let alone write, and then writing it, same deal. Like, but it starts up here and I can get it out. I'll type, well, I'm better at typing than writing. But yeah, I'll type it out. But I'd stir my tea clockwise, whispering thoughts I hope would come true. This sounds a little more organized than what it was, but I was doing that. Um, I'd taking a bath when I felt I knew I was supposed to take a bath. I don't know how to explain it. Like a heavy, um, and I was cleansing energy, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like this is me, like young me, doing this kind of stuff. But they were little spells in disguise, like everyday magic. I loved rituals, the repetition, the intention behind small acts. Um, I don't know. It made my world feel sacred. I couldn't explain. I didn't know why, who, where, what, and all that sort of stuff. But it just, I don't know. Things just felt sacred. It felt more. It felt like I was. I don't know. There was more meaning, which is the point. um, then I remember walking through a bookstore, and this is a while back, and I embrace the, I don't know if I was embracing the title witch yet. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was feeling pulled toward the metaphysical section for sure. Um, I think I was like, I don't know, it was like a magnet. Like I was drawn to that section. And I know people know what I'm talking about. Like you just feel like, oh, well, let me go look over in that section. Let me look. And I don't even know what I'm getting. I don't know specifically what. I just know, honestly, I wanted to buy everything that they had, just to kind of soak up all the knowledge. But yeah, that feeling of just being called to that knowledge, that witchy knowledge. Um, but I did eventually just start reading about. I read about like intuition, obviously energy, the moon. One book led to another, then another. It was like breadcrumbing. Honestly, I felt like spirit was breadcrumbing me toward the path. Right. I think a lot of us feel like that. So this is then there's 2009. I say around 2009. I really couldn't deny it anymore. I had been studying for years. I've been kind of dabbling in tarot a lot more now at this point. Definitely some candle magic, light on the moon rituals, but I'm in it. Um, Something definitely shifted that year, though. I remember thinking, I'm just not spiritual. I'm a witch. Honestly, I knew I wasn't going to say I was spiritual because I was coming off of atheist, like honestly, just identifying more and more with being an atheist. And I actually approached my witchcraft that way. I didn't get into, I did the most, it was so not that woo woo in my witchcraft practice because I'm coming from being an atheist, and I really, really, really tried my hardest. I'm about to get into that Wicca and the Lord and the lady and all that. So on that note, let me stick to my little notes that I have here. I officially identified as Wiccan because that was the structure that helped me understand what I was doing. It was accessible. They had books, they had resources, and honestly, it felt safe to say it out loud. At this point, people in like the military, Wicca is now a thing. People like it's not accepted, but it's definitely more on par than anything else in that realm of paganism and things like that, right? Um, Wicca gave me a language. It gave me moon phases. It gave me Sabbaths. It's calling the quarters, working with elements. So it gave me that language. I began to track the wheel of the year, celebrate the full moons intentionally, and uh, I created my first book of shadows. Right, that's when I realized witchcraft wasn't something just out there. Like you talk and you say, "Oh, there's things out there." This wasn't something that was just out there. It was already in me. The rituals and spells, they just gave form to what I'd always known. Um, who here started out in Wicca? Uh, Let me know. I'm curious. I think a lot of us did, but who started in Wicca or something similar before branching out into your own kind of practice? I'll just say that. Or maybe you're so firmly in Wicca. I think people, it gets a bad rap. And me personally, I think you can use the frameworks of that system and kind of make it your own. And I say that as a Black American woman because I feel like there are things that I'd have to tweak for it to make it make sense for me and how I resonate. You know what I mean? Like, to each their own. um but I'm very grateful for that practice because it got me to where I'm at today. And there's a lot of heavy influences in modern witchcraft from Wicca. um you if the things that I talk about, surely you've seen the influence. I mean, that's how I started. I was very much into practice. um I did a year and a day and everything. I did the whole thing. So I want to talk about evolving as a witch. So as time went on, my practice evolved. I learned to step outside of labels. I wasn't just Wiccan anymore, I was me. My practice became rooted in intuition, ancestral connection, and home magic. So, what I like to now call cottage witchcraft. That's what I do. I began blending everything that I had learned, the structure of Wicca, the spirituality that I grew up with, the cultural understanding of my ancestors, and my personal connection to spirit. So it became about living magic, hence my whole thing with leap taken, living a magical lifestyle. I started another channel, um the magical life of a cottage witch, living a magical lifestyle. Can't express that enough, because it's about living the magic, not just doing something when the full moon, not just doing something at this time of year, not just doing something when gathered with others, but like really everyday living it through the good times, the bad times, the boring times, the mundane times. Cooking became spell work, cleaning became ritual, my home became sacred space. Um, there is something profound as a Black American witch about reclaiming that, because so much of our ancestral spirituality was taken, hidden, or demonized. Um, so when I stir herbs or light a candle, I'm not just practicing witchcraft, I'm healing generational silence. I clean at leisure, not because my life depends on it. I cook when I feel like it, and I make a bit of a production out of it because it is I can make it entertaining and fun, and make it an experience for me and another Black woman that lives in the home. But it's for our enjoyment, our nourishment, not to be subservient to someone who is not, you know? That is a breaking of a curse. And to those that still identify with that way of thinking, seeing somebody like me and thinking I'm only good for cleaning and cooking, um, at no pay because I'm just less than by default. Um, yeah, the fact that I'm when I DoorDash, it's a big fu, well, to my bank account, but also to to those people who still identify with that, and to the men, to the Black men who dare think that way about women, specifically Black women, not realizing patriarchy is just white supremacy. God, it's exhausting. You live long enough and you understand this, and it makes so much sense. Sense, and you see it, and then randomly, if I'm scrolling, you hear some stupid man who paid for podcast equipment talk and say things that are just like, you're right. You're not your ancestors. You're an idiot. You and the rest of your stupid people and the people in the comments and anybody else who agree with you. Side note, I've actually been around men talking like this in public. It is terrifying. I was like, oh my God, I forgot they made you. I thought you started dying out or you were just on the internet. I didn't know you were real, like in Gen Pop. Moving on. Anyone else feel that sense of like reclamation in your craft? Like every spell you cast is rewriting your family history. I say this to those who don't have family histories that you would like to remember, and maybe you want to kind of redo this whole thing. And maybe you see it that way, or there are people who don't have family. Everybody they knew, they're gone, or they don't have the connection with them for whatever reason, or if you don't want to have a connection with them, I get that too. But when I say family, family is not just your immediate family. I meant those who came before, the ones you don't even know about that you've never met. So all of the breadth of your family, the people who helped make you, your mom and your dad's side. Um, I do feel that way. I do. It feels that way for me. Like I'm reclaiming something that was interrupted for hundreds of years. Yeah. And I feel like I'm me, little old me, I'm putting it back. I'm reclaiming it. So let's talk again about spirit and the whispers return. So even now, all these years later, I still hear those whispers. Sometimes it's more in my dreams. Sometimes while I'm writing or creating, spirit still guides me. Um, it's just now that I understand the language. I understand it now, and I've learned that witchcraft isn't about having all the answers. It's about learning to listen. This is something I wish more people would be open about, uh, especially those who have a platform and they talk to people and they kind of come from a space like they have all the answers. They have a spell that will fix anything. And I think we need to do better about that because sometimes things don't need fixing, they need your attention. Not to fix, you need to pay attention. You need to be seeing, keep your eye on the ball. Like, what's going on? Sometimes it's not a situation to fix, it's something that you need to just tend to. Um, the whispers that once confused me now inspire me. They show up when I'm designing a spell or working out a ritual. I'm a high priestess of a coven. I have a coven, leap taken coven. That is a private thing that I do. And when I write rituals, it's funny because I'll like find a ritual that I wrote a couple years ago, and I'm like, huh, I don't even remember. Like, it's like something else is in my head. Like, I created all these. Like, I didn't, I mean, I look for inspiration sometimes from books, honestly, from media and things like that, that might resonate, and I can make it for us, make it for, our own, for the coven. But, this is all me. And I'm like always like looking like, huh, I wrote that. Interesting. And it's crazy because I hear people talking about like chat, like AI, chat GPT or whatever else. And it was like, oh, there's no space for that in your witchcraft. I was like, you know, me of those years ago, obviously I didn't have any of that. And I'm just like, I mean, I get it because I didn't have that as an option. So I was really just over here, getting my pen game up with these rituals and these spells and learning better rhymes and things like that. And it wasn't just for me anymore. I'm doing this for others. At one point, it was 13 of us in this coven. For a period, it was a glimpse of time. It was 13. That's what I wanted at 13. That was, come on, that's like a witch's coven, 13. A witch's dozen, they call it. But anyway, yeah. And looking back, I realized that spirit, intuition, my ancestors, all that, it was all culminating. And I was able to create these rituals. And as time has gone on, they have just gotten a little bit more elaborate, our spells and our rituals. And I love that. I love the pomp and circumstance of it now. I love the ceremonial aspects of it. So I love writing that. That's fun to me. Um, but yeah, so when I'm designing a spell or writing my book or in the books of shadows that I have here, um, or even filming videos, like this, those whispers are there. I know sometimes when to say more about a topic or when to maybe not. I listen. Spirit's not always loud. Um, it doesn't always come across as a loud voice. Sometimes it's that subtle pull. Maybe there's goosebumps, the unexpected yes you feel in your bones, where something's just telling you, nope, do it. Yep, go for it. Yes, yes. You don't know why. Like the words yes came out your mouth before you even thought about it. You ever just, you're like, oh, yes. And you're like, damn, I really said that kind of quick. You didn't even know how you felt about something, but, yeah, it's like that. So if you're still in that phase where you're hearing whispers but aren't sure what they mean, I would tell you to trust them. They're leading you somewhere sacred. Caveat: it's not fear, it's not paranoia, it's not panic. If you feel those feelings, that's not what I'm talking about. That's something different. Um, being a witch in my 50s, being in my 50s, my practice feels different than it did, obviously, in my 40s and 30s. It's more grounded. I don't feel like I need to prove anything. I don't chase every new trend. There is one thing that I did, and I'm still not even doing it the way people did it because I have chronic, not like the other girl syndrome or not like the other woman syndrome. By the way, if you're like that, you don't grow out of it. Fun fact: I'm at this big age, I never grew out of it. If everybody likes it, I'm always side eyeing. I'm like, why do y'all like it? I don't know why I'm like this. Y'all know if you're like this, you know what I'm talking about. If everybody else is like, it's kind of like, oh, you got to see this movie, you got to see it. The more you tell me I have to, I think it's because I don't like being told what to do. The more you tell me I have to see it, I have to eat this, I got to go to this restaurant, I got to do this, I got to do that, I'm going to tell you, you are just creating a timeline of more space before I ever experience it, taste the food, do the thing, watch the movie, read the book. Because I don't know, there's something wired in me. The more you tell me about it, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't know what that's not intuition. That's just me. Is that like a fire sign thing? Or a control? It's probably a control thing. Anyway, um, but I know my craft and I know what works for me. And because I've been doing this for so long, I have a pretty good idea of what might work for someone else, or at least to give someone else some options and some ideas and how it may benefit them. Hence my mentor program. If you go to leaptaken.com, I offer mentorships. I have two levels. There's the first level, and then there's more of advanced levels. So if you've been somebody who's been practicing for a while, but it just, the zest is missing. That happens. It's okay to get, some help and kind of help you, not make you like it again, not make you excited again, but to, in that case, I feel like you need help with building a tradition because you've experienced, but you need to put all those pieces together and start making it make sense in your life. Great to hear and see this, very encouraging. Oh, good. I'm glad. Thanks, Golden Sun. But yeah, you're gonna want to, you need to build something. We're the first mentorship program, and this is just in general. I'm just telling you in general how this works. I'm not trying to sell you guys or anything, but I'm just telling you, like, when you're starting, initially you want to know all the things. So the first level of mentorship, there are people, they don't know what they don't, there's so many things they don't know, and they're just hoping somebody can kind of give them the guidance. They're not looking for me to tell them who they are or what they should be doing. I like to do a series of different tools. I like to use tools and things of that nature to help all of us kind of arrive to a consensus on where you feel pulled to. So I like to do a tarot reading. I work with my ancestors and spirit, my spirit guides, and try to connect with yours and see where we can, we're all having a meeting of the minds, very witchy, very, very divinatory moment. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to want your birth chart. That's something we can all get for free because I'm looking for some key things. Just initially, the big three, your sun, your moon, and your rising, to get a better idea. And then I'm looking to see, well, what's in your chart? Do you have a lot of water? Is it a mix? Is it all over the place? Because this kind of tells me a lot about you, other than you telling me about you. But this gives me a good foundation, and I can build on that. And I find that is a better connection for people. And now we can start building a tradition. Imagine you love the way cottage witchery looks. You love the domestic arts, witchy arts. You like folk magic. It's something about that calls to you. But based on your chart and everything else, there is something you're just not mentioning because you just haven't put it on the same, because those things are very trendy right now, by the way, and that gets your attention. But in your heart, you really just like plants. You really just like working with herbs. And it's not the domestic arts, it's the part where the plant life intersects that you really, really like. And you do like cooking and you like doing those things, but only when you get to use your fresh herbs that you grew or that you trust from someone else. You know what I mean? And if the more we get to that, you would say, oh, and you're seeing a lot of earth placements in your chart. Green witch, being a green witch, for lack of better words, not that we're stuck on titles, but do you see how it would make sense that you would go in that direction versus kind of just assuming some other things based off of the limited information that you know and resources that you have, right? So I kind of do with that. It's a conversation where, with us, the spirits and everything else, to try to get you there. And then we can build from there. But a lot of people don't have that. You've just been kind of doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that for some time, and you need something to put all that together, a container, if you will. Anyway, but I know my craft and I know what works for me. There's something powerful about being a mature witch because you've lived long enough. You've lived enough life, I should say, to understand that magic is patient. It's not always fireworks, it's flow. It's flow. There is beauty in flow. Listen, I struggle with patience. I'm better. I was worse. And this is just, you live long enough, you kind of have to learn to just go with the flow a little bit more, the highs and the lows. And there can be beauty in all of it. Even in the ugly, you can find the beauty. I cry and I can laugh right afterwards. I'm one of those people. Yeah. I've grown into my power. I honor the ancestors who paved the way for me to have this freedom. And I honor the whispers that never gave up. I do. And I honor the version of me who kept searching, even when she didn't know what she was looking for. Boy, was I was looking, I didn't know what. When I was writing my notes for this, I stopped and asked myself, did you ever find it? It. Yeah, I did. I mean, there's still more, but I found it. I found it. I'm not perpetually searching. I like, I'm always open. I'm always open to application of what I know and building on what I know. And I'm open to something very new, kind of changing my, not, yeah, to some level. I want to be, um I want my mind blown. You know what I mean? Who doesn't? And you want to just come across something like, whoa, so this is really going down. Like this is what it was. And last Monday, I mean, that's the beauty in life and death. I talked about this on Wednesday. If you didn't know or didn't see, my grandmother passed away Monday, on the full moon in Aries, as that, with three Aries witnessing and that transition and experiencing that transition, because we all felt it. We felt the shift. We felt that. And I am very aware that the veil is thinning. We are now on October 10th. We are in the moment, y'all. This is going down. And it was an experience that we all felt. It wasn't just me and my interpretation. I had other women um, in my life feel that and see things. So it was, that was another mind blowing thing. I got confirmation. It's not the end. Death is not the end. There is this sadness, but my grandmother gave me so many gifts. She proved that's not, death is not the end. I know this. I knew this. She proved it. She showed us. Just another mind blowing experience, you know? Like, that's awesome. For as long as I've been practicing, that's freaking awesome. Like that experience. Anyway, so yeah, I did find it, but I'm still getting my mind blown. Man, I love being a witch. So for my seasoned witches out there, how has your craft changed with age? And for my more newer witches, newer to it, not, what do you hope what do you hope your practice looks like years from now? I am doing what I wanted to do. I got to experience being in a vortex in the mountains of Sedona, Arizona with witches, and I led them in a ritual, in a freaking vortex. I got to experience doing, what do they call that? The spiral dance in my Wicca days with a group of people. I got to experience drinking mead in a ritual with a bunch of European folk. I got to experience those things. I got to experience, and I'm just thinking all the like the fun stuff. I mean, my business is being a witch. But before I knew that was gonna be, and that was really gonna be a thing for me, like I had these really cool experiences. Dude, I had a spirit attach itself me and haunt me for months. Like I laugh, but like that's crazy. Those things really happen to me. Um, yeah, I've delivered messages that were so important. I facilitated and brokered deals with ancestors to keep babies alive. You know, wild. Anyway, um, so as I've aged, the practice that as you get older, your magic will become more powerful. As you get older, as you mature, I should say, um, as long as you're stoking the fires of your craft, as long as you're tending that metaphorical fire, metaphysical fire, if you will, you will become powerful. Like it's not a hobby. It's not it doesn't go away, it doesn't fade. Um, where honestly, I've seen it different for people in the past, people at this age. So I guess the people who were like the baby boomers, when they were at this stage I'm at now, and they were not into this, they were into like the big three stuff. To me, everything is more based on, it's like a death cult, like for real. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm like, I'm not like, but you know what I mean. It's like there's so much fear, and their actions are out of guilt and shame and fear. Mine, most my actions typically are rooted in love and connection and understanding that it's more than just this. Life is more than just this, you know? So I give myself grace. I let myself be silly. Sometimes I'm not in a great mood, and sometimes I do snap at people, and I don't say the right things all the time. And I don't get hung up on it. And if, I apologize, and, I try to meet people where they are. And I ask that people try to give me the same grace. Lucky for me, I typically surround myself with people who do. And because, most of the time I'm a pretty nice person. So authentically so they're pretty cool with that. And I try to be fun and joke, and because I like doing that, because what is the freaking point? Like, have you just seen people who are committed to being miserable all the time? There is a lot to be miserable about, but by no means are we supposed to be here to just be a stick in the mud all the time. I refuse to. I I'm a creative. I can't create solutions, resolutions, if I'm being overwhelmed by them, by the problems, right? Anyway, so um, my witch origin story, unfortunately, is not a straight line. It's a bit of a spiral, like that spiral walk that I did that time. I was living in North Carolina when that happened, by the way. But I was always meant to find this path. It just took time to remember. The whispers, the intuition, the curiosity, all of it was spirit reminding me who I've always been. So if you're listening and you're wondering if you're meant to be a witch, here's your sign. You are. You already are. If you're listening, paying attention, and walking with intention, you're already practicing. You already got that. You're good. You already got it. The other stuff are just the things to help with the mind. And their tools, the candles, the incense, the herbs, the smoke, the this, the that, the talismans, for some people, the book of shadow, their Bible, if they want to use that, which I can't anyway. But if that's what you're into, there's that. Um, those are just your tools. It's coming from you. You're the power is coming from you. When I call petition my ancestors, when I petition any deity or spirit guides to aid, I know it's me. I'm the one doing it. I'm pulling this. I'm making this happen. Right? Okay, cool. Anyway, um but thank you for sharing space with me today. If you connected to my story, go ahead and like, subscribe, share all the YouTube stuff. And if you want, you can share your own witch origin story in the comments as well. I love hearing how other witches found their way home. Because I do feel like this feels like home. And you keep living life long enough, home is very important. You need that place. You need, because you will begin losing people. People where you lose places because of, the way life is set up. Some people you have to move away from what you've found comfort in, tangible space. So you have to create that home. I've I've done that for myself and I maintain it. Just like a physical structure, a physical home, you have to maintain it. And you sometimes got to revamp it. And that's okay too. That's all right too. What I would tell you, one of my biggest tools, and this is a plug, write it down. You see those books over there? Yeah, I have the Book of Shadows for the Love Witch in the middle. That's the Hearth Witch. And then I have the Hoodoo Grimoire. And up top is the Witchy Activity book, which if you are starting or you feel like you want to get into it and you're just struggling, that workbook is the thing that you need. It will get you to you do something. You're doing witchy stuff, and there's some cute fun paper craft stuff in here too. A little bit of coloring, a lot of journal type prompts and questions and things like that, some word scrambles and searches and definitions and meanings. And so it's a thorough witchy book and a certificate at the end, so you can make yourself feel even more special. I like rewards. I was always one of those people, but yeah, that'll help you feel like you're doing something. I fully understand that feeling of like, I know I'm a witch, I know this is in me, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Like, so if I'm lighting a candle for what? I don't have a specific thing. Not everybody's going through it. Not, I mean, even if you are, you can't quite conceptualize, how do I turn this issue into a spell to resolve it? Like, I don't see the connection. That book can help you. The Witchy Activity book can help you do something. And then you will start to think outside the box, so to speak. So when you have things happening in your life, not necessarily problems, but maybe you want to change things. You don't like how things are going. It's not a problem. And there's some of us, we don't like to come across ungrateful because our basic needs are being met. And maybe we have a surplus. So the last thing we want to do is kind of tempt fate, so to speak. And speak like our lives are bad, but deep down you want more. You want more. um, I specialize in that, by the way, because I know that feeling, and I had to come to the realization that to someone else, they don't think I have enough already. Like they think like, oh, that wouldn't be enough for me. You should want more. And there's other people who think you have too much. Why would you want more? But I can't really be concerned about what other people think about my life. I'm the only one that gets to live it. Um, so I know, I'm talking about something that's very real for me right now. I want to. I think we're gonna take the cottage and go, so to speak. I think we're gonna move our space next year. I think we're gonna do that. We've been living in I live in an actual cottage. We've been living in this cottage since 2019, and I do love it. And this was new construction, and I really don't want to, because I felt like it's mine. It was for me. It is mine. It is for me, but I don't. I think we're outgrowing this space, and I don't. Unless I become a more of a minimalist, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So I think ultimately we're going to need to get a different place, and I'm kind of excited. So this is like next year. I'm not even, but I'm doing the magical work now. There's other people who would look and say, like I said, people have opinions because I talk to people. So if for those of us who live in a world where people offer opinions unsolicited, you know why I'm saying this. But to me, I know what works for me, and I'm ready to kind of, crack open a new notebook and do some scripting. But let me tell you some free game of what I'm going to do. I want to try something different. So I've been talking about it. My personality's become, at this stage of my life, obviously witchcraft, K-pop. Don't ask, just let it happen. K-pop and playing The Sims 4. Again, I don't know. I don't know what my deal is. I saw a TikTok earlier today, and this guy was explaining when you turn 50, he said when you turn 40, you act like you're 25 again. And that is absolutely correct. When you turn 40, you're aware you're physically 40, but in your mind, you're like, how can I be 40 when I'm still like 25? That's a very real thing. Now, I'm going to tell you something about 50. Being 50, I'm very aware that I'm 50, but I feel like a woman in her 30s who has come to the realization she's no longer in her 20s. That's kind of where my head's at. Does that resonate? Do y'all know what I'm talking about? I feel like, and unless you're in your 30s, you don't know what I'm talking about. But like you're like mid 30s. I feel like 35 in my head because I'm grown. I know I'm grown, but at 35, there's this thing happening where you will realize I'm not that different from my 20s. And you kind of want to do some stuff over again. Like you want to revisit some topics and some things with your smarts now and try it again. I don't know if that's my deal. This is something I don't think, listen, it makes me happy and that's all that matters. But these are my personalities now. So with The Sims, I've gotten into building more with The Sims 4. I didn't, this is, I know it's been around for years. My daughter played it. And at the time when my stepdaughter was alive, she played this like, they were like discs. I think that we had to buy or something or get for them to play this dang on game years ago. Anyway, um, all that to say, I am going to build the house I think I want to live in. I'm in my early 30s and I just feel like a bigger team who pays taxes. Exactly. I cannot tell you that is what it feels like now for me. Not teen, very adult. I know I'm an adult. Like, I don't, but like the things that I think I the best way to explain it is like a 30 something year old realizing, oh shoot, I missed my 20s, or I want to revisit the things that I loved in my 20s so I can feel good again. Except I'm not making it happen. These are just the things that I'm attracted to. I don't know. I'm not trying to, I have a pact with my kids. Fun fact. I was like, I will not I will not date anybody too close to my kids' age. So my kids are currently still in their 20s. Both my kids. One is leaving. She'll be 30 next year. I mean it's gonna be a lot for her, but I think for me, I'm like, I got that's shoot, if you think you feeling something, how do you think I feel? I'm like, well, I'm still in my mind thinking I'm 35. So how is she gonna be 30? Anyway, it's aging is a crazy thing. People have this idea, especially young when you're young. I used to be one of those people too, that people are supposed to just have it together when you get to a certain age. Define it. What do you think? What you don't know is that sometimes people have to rebuild. There are things that happen, job loss, death, a combination of both, having children, children not being here anymore. Nobody talks about that. Nobody tells you that you could be pregnant, carry a baby, and then no longer have baby. Nobody talks about that enough. And how that will devastate you for the rest of your life. And you got to rebuild. Nobody talks about that. Um, but just life changes, health. There are people, their health takes them on a journey they never saw themselves on, and maybe they heal, but life is never the same, and you got to rebuild. You can't do whatever you were going to do before. Everything changes. And the other thing that people don't tell you about, do you know you might have to do that one more time and another time after that? Like, it is freaky, the journey that some people, the lives that they've lived, they've had to reinvent themselves, not because they were bored and wanted something different, because that's just the path that they were on. Um, yeah, let me see. Insky says, I thought I was going to get my witchy business together in my early 20s, and here I am basically soft resetting it. Boom. Life really keeps life. It really does. You don't, I can tell you this when you're younger, but you won't really know it. And I could just say, give people grace that are older that you think should know better. When I look back and I think about like the women I knew who are now the age I'm at now, like, yo, they were like, they were petty as heck. Like, they were real petty. Like, come on, I want y'all to really think about like back in the day. So somebody like the aunties, the grandmoms, or your mom's good girlfriends or whoever. And these women, whoever they are in your life, maybe people you work with, like, I mean, they were like real petty, real petty. And you like, you thinking, well, yeah, come on, y'all shouldn't act like that. Like, you shouldn't do that. I will tell you this. I understand. I understand. Live long enough and you are entitled to feel whatever you feel. I'm not saying it's okay to be mean to people and, bully people and harass people who don't deserve it, because unfortunately, y'all know how them boomers was doing people. Not all of them, but some. I don't know. I feel like there's the cultural difference with Gen X. I'm Generation X, right? I I've been hearing people say, "Oh my God, why are Gen X people like they're always talking about they drink out of a water fountain and they were outside, they were feral and they had to be latchkey kids." Like, they're always talking about this. Like, but what are they doing? First of all, we're a smaller generation compared to baby boomers and the millennials. We're not as a large group, to be honest with you. Um, I don't know what that's about, but anyway, they just didn't have a lot of babies. So that's one. Well, I know why, because birth control exists now. I was born in the 70s. I went think about birth control started coming on the scene more. It became more accessible. That is why we don't have as many Gen X people. That's why. So anyway, um, yeah, I do think some of us get a bad rap when we're talking generations, but it really does depend on the group, the ethnic group, cultural, and all that. Like, if you're talking like Black Gen X women, most of us, they're just, I find that most people are just mad at us because we won't babysit grandkids. But I mean, come on, I don't have any grandkids yet, but look at me. Like, do I look like I'm trying to chill in the house? Man, I'm going outside. I want to go have fun. Not outside to go do something reckless. I want to be outside. I want to go out to eat. I want to have a little maybe drink. I want to go shopping. I want to have a time. I want to go vacation. I want to go do hood rat stuff with my hood rat friends, the other 50-year-olds, witches. I want to do those sort of things. Like, I don't want to be in a house with any kids. Are you serious? We were dropped off at our grandparents' house. I was dropped off at my grandparents' house. I don't want to do that. I'm not walking around in a house dress and just, wanting to make soul food all the time. Honey, I'm over here being vegetarian. I'm practicing witchcraft. I entertain. I'm doing things. I'm not, but they're mad about that. And they go talk about the entire generation. I'm sorry, things are just different. Also, a lot of us are still working. So if we're still working and have and contributing to society in that way, when we have downtime, we're not trying to be of service even more so because we're already doing it. And a lot of us have been acting like adults since we were 5 years old. I had a key around my neck and walked home by myself from school at 6. So yeah. And I didn't even go to it was a long walk. They weren't lying, it was a long walk. But anyway, again just wanted to share my a bit of my witch origin stories. Basically, I there was always something. There were whispers, there were signs and feelings and a desire to know more and to keep searching. And then it led me to Wicca, and from Wicca, eclectic witch. And then from there, here, sacred. My home is the sacred space, and it's sort of my foundation. And I've been just building off of that. So that's about me. Thought I'd share that this Friday. And hopefully, I'm inspiring you to kind of think about yours. And if you're in the process of sort of building your witchy origin story, write it down. You think you're going to remember everything. No, you won't. And get one of my books of shadows to write it down. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you, Inski and Golden Sun. I appreciate you. Go ahead again, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And I thank you all. All right, bye.